if you don't wanna be on, don't go in front.
Oh, so, one thing, you cannot, video our entire tour. So that is one thing, that you feel free to video like when we're getting some activity, but we can't video the entire tour. Or like me.
Even outside?
I mean, you can like,
That's
do
public.
stuff, but, because it's trademark, our trademark tour, and otherwise people would not want you to come to see our tour if we just put it out there. So we do some of our own videos here and there, but, yeah, no, I can't really be on, and that's actually something I've signed with my boss, that, unless we're doing an event, that I don't create my own videos. And let me find my,
Well, I'm gonna film us, so.
yeah, you can
That's-
film
it's,
yourself,
you know, I
film
mean,
yourself getting activity, whatever you wanna do.
I film, especially outside, there's nothing anyone can say about filming outside, it's public.
I was talking about like my stories or, things like that. So, this is, this is nothing magical about this flashlight. No remote control, nothing. The key thing about it is twist on, twist off. It's a mini mag that you twist on and just off. Make sure to shake it. I've created a gap between the bulb and the batteries, and spirits being energy, all they have to do is touch it to turn it on. And we do get them to turn on flashlights here. Step on there. Well,
Why is it doing that? It's like blinking for something. See, look at it.
the last thing I'm gonna put out, we can call it a motion ball, but really it's a cat ball. So sometimes they like to mess with them and, touch and turn off. A lot of times we'll get them on the shelf up here. Stand up the most. So I am gonna turn off the lights. So before I start telling the stories and the history, I'm gonna say, we introduce ourselves always to the room. We're asking them to come in and interact with us, so to the spirits. If there's anyone here who wishes to communicate, we mean no disrespect and we mean no harm, and we're looking just for friendly, positive communications only. You can see us, we can't see you, and we only have limited time in each spot because we're gonna move on and take a walk into town and do some things. And you got the torches or flashlights, however you might know them, you can touch those and turn those on. You've got the meters to light up. There's that cat ball up on the shelf, if you can go ahead and turn that on if you'd like to. So, you don't have to, but this is your way to communicate with us. So where we are first of all, the Lakeside Inn. If you went into Tremaine's Lounge, that is the original inn. That is the oldest part of the property, built in 1883. That was the Alexander House, and it was a 2-story, 10-room hotel. Always was a hotel, despite being called the Alexander House. And it was started by 4 investors, and they basically wanted people to come in from the north. They were all mostly northerners and the upper Midwest. And so they started that in, bringing people down for the winter. People come from November, stay till April, fill up the place. The second owners that took over, Emma Boone, who had been their manager there. Now, the original investors, you'll hear the names are all over town. Two of them were the Donnellys. It was Annie and John Donnelly. They were the it couple here in early Mount Dora. And they have a beautiful gingerbread house down the way by the park, and the park is named for them, so their name's everywhere. And again, they were coming, while everybody was coming here for the citrus industry to get started in Homestead, they were coming here for the tourist industry and real estate. And they owned pretty much all of the property down here that became downtown Mount Dora. So anyway, so that, that was 1883. The middle section with 3 stories, that was built by 1905, and then the section we're sitting in by 1906. Now, where we are in the Grandview room, this was actually something else back in the early days. If you look at the construction here, you probably could figure that out. This was part of the wraparound porch. In the 1950s, they enclosed this for a TV room. So they did not have TVs in rooms. People did not want to travel in the 1950s and miss their favorite shows already. So, but once they broadened this out, once the Alexander house, they added on, that became kind of a parlor area. There was a parlor area down here, which explains a lot of the activity that happens around here. They'll see things down there in that section down there by the Tremaines. Like one of the bartenders, she would look up from her job, look up from the bar, and see a woman knitting or crocheting or doing something, some sort of needlework. She had the big puffy sleeves and the big updo. And then she would say, "I'll be right with you, ma'am," and as she would say that, the woman would disappear. She was actually, I've been doing this for 8 years. In the early years, we'd come, and when they closed down early, so when they were closing down Tremaine, she has to turn off all the lights so that guests don't want to come in and have a drink. And she'd say, "Could you bring your group in here and keep me company while I close down?" As she's closed down with the lights off, she'd hear shuffling and movement and things moving around in there. Besides that lady, sometimes they'd see a little man go through with a little hat, and he'd disappear out the back. So lots of, to this day, the bartenders will tell you about glasses that move on the racks, almost on a daily basis. One of the front desk guys had to, late at night, Tremaines was all closed up. He all of a sudden he hears a sound coming from there, and he has to go and unlock and check it out. This is after 11. Goes back, and there's the blender's on behind the bar, and he's like, "Well, maybe I just didn't hear it before." You kind of second guess yourself. So he goes, turns it off, locks up, and goes back to the front desk. And he's not behind the front desk for maybe more than a few seconds, and he hears it again. So he's like, "Okay, I know I turned that blender off." So he goes back in, and sure enough, it's back on. And this time, not only does he turn it off, but he unplugs it from the wall. And I'd like to say it came back on again, because I love the stories of finding out that there's spirits that have so much energy that they can power a small appliance. But it didn't come back on. And I think Brandon was kind of a skeptic. And I asked him after that, I said, "Well, you believe it after being here for 2 years?" And he wouldn't admit it, but he still works here, so at least it didn't scare him. Oh, there's my cat ball there. Hello. Thanks for turning that on. I know you love to play with it. Can you turn it off for a moment, please? Maybe ask questions. There's also a flashlight there too, if you want to turn that on. Is it still, or if you prefer the cat ball. Do you like to mess with the front desk people? So a lot of times we'll be talking about the things that happen to the staff up here. And again, anybody who's here late at night will have something eventually. Right now, the girls that are up there will be late at night, and they'll start hearing tapping on one of the bookcases with the brochures. They'll hear tapping on the outside, and then nobody wants to go look around the corner to see who's not there. Now the door to their front desk area opens on its own. And it's been happening a lot lately, but they said what's weird about it is does it not just open? They actually see the doorknob turn. So sometimes they're a little, one of the managers she'd be working at the front, and she would see a certain little girl. And she had the gift of seeing apparitions, of course, but she said every time this little girl was about to show up, the wall sconce, one of the lights right on the way out the front door there, would start to flicker. And she'd be like, "Uh-oh. Coming." and she'd see this little girl, and the little girl would sit on the stairs to the second floor with her chin in her hands and her elbows on her knees, and stare at her man or follow her around till she disappeared. A lot of times they're working here by themselves, and it's quiet. Things get quiet here, like I said, really early. Door shuts down early. They're out here. They're done with all their work. They're looking at their phones. And all of a sudden, I just hear footsteps go across the lobby. Sometimes, and this kind of gets them a little bit more, they'll hear running children, the sounds of running children, and giggling. One girl was here for about eight months. Had no experiences, but she knew she lives in a haunted property, and she was up there all by herself one night. All the work had been done, the phones, everything was quiet. So she's looking at her phone, and all of a sudden, got very warm around her. And people seem to think that you got to be ice cold or whatever, but got real warm around her, and all of a sudden, she heard the sound of a little girl giggle right behind her head. Now, there was nothing behind them but those key slots. And she said what was weird is it had a hollow sound as if this girl was feeling through a tube or something. Well, she jumped up and kind of paced in front of the hotel for a short time, but she had to come back because she has to monitor the phones and things. One of our other guys actually talked her down and said, Eva, they're just letting you know that you're welcome. And so after that, they didn't do that to her again, but while she'd be sitting at the front desk, down on the other end of the desk, she would hear someone tapping on the keyboard to the computer. She'd say, it's all right, you stay down there. They do get calls from vacant rooms. That's a pretty regular thing. That's actually, all hotels are haunted, and it most likely actually happens in almost every hotel. The older the hotel, the more layers of history, of course. But so they'll answer, and it'll be either silence on the other end, or it'll be that white noise, staticky sound. One line that they no longer answer after hours is the phone from the pool bar. They have a landline in there, and they close at dusk, and they lock up that landline. Well, they were getting calls from that phone after hours. They would answer it, and they would get again silence or that static sound. Then one night they answered it, and they got something straight out of a horror movie. They tried to record it for us, and they couldn't. But they heard a shriek, either of a woman or a girl. It was a female when they picked up that phone. So since then, it's late at night, they know that's closed, they don't answer that line. That is one of the weirder things that happens to them. But, so they'll get a lot of things that happen. So the history-wise, Mount Dora itself, by the way, we'll back to a little bit of history, it wasn't always called Mount Dora. If you've seen an area called Royalou, or YELLOU, for about a year and a half, that's what this place was called. And that was just based off of the local postmaster, Ross Tremaine, who Tremaine's Lounge is named after, his three children, Roy, Ella, and Lewis. They just had no other name until one of the founders here came up with the name Mount Dora, based on the fact that we're at 184 feet above sea level, and of course you had beautiful Lake Dora, so that stuck in 1883. Other things that happen here, and we're going to do more Lakeside Inn stories when we get to our last location here. But I'm going to say to any of the spirits who are in here, whoever set off the cat ball, if you're still here, if you could do that again, or touch one of the flashlights. We're only here for a limited time because we have other places to go. I don't know if you're here, if you like Halloween. We just like doing tours all year round. So, and this year I don't have anybody with costumes, except me. I guess I'm sorry.
Well, you have Turner, he has this costume.
So to any of the spirits, a lot of the spirits that we get here are former staff. We've come across former owners who are still keeping an eye on the place. We often talk about them, especially the Edgerton family, who they were the first ones to actually live on the property during at least certain times of the year, and eventually all year round. But most of the time they would shut down, and then they would go up north and run a hotel up there, and then just caretakers would be here. So the staff here, up until the 1980s, a certain portion of the staff, this was their second home. So they are here, and in a certain, one of the buildings, and I can't say, I'm not allowed to say what room it is, we don't want people to look him up, but there's a certain room where at least one staff member, he will lock the room from the inside and not let them rent it out if he doesn't like the people they've been putting in there, specifically people who are psychic. doesn't want sensitive people who can read him or see him. And we've had to go and talk to the room and get him to open it up. Now, we've talked to him, he's turned on flashlights and things for us. He's like some of the guests that I know who stayed in there. But if anybody's psychic, boom. So it was a year ago where some psychics came and stayed on the property. They stayed in his room, and they apparently were quite disrespectful and riled him up. So he locked down the room, and they could not rent it out, and they were full up, and they just had this one last room. So the owner's son too would say, like, hey, we gotta talk to him. We don't know the gentleman's name. We do think he's a former gardener. But we did get him to open up the room, and we apologized for whatever anybody did. And I've always promised him, I said, I will never knowingly bring you any psychic people to visit your room. Now, I hear people who walk into his room and say, oh, I can't stay in here. They're probably really sensitive. So he won't want them in there. They won't want to be in there either. Now, he's told us that he has turned on lights and water. And also know there are 2 beds in that room. The one on the left-hand side is his. So if I would stay in there, I would definitely sleep in the right-hand side one, because that's where all the activity is, on the left. But he likes to hide out in the closet, so he'll do things like that. But we stay here too as well. I've seen full-on shadow figures, specifically down in the Sunset Cottage. There was a lot of staff members in there. One manager died of a massive heart attack in there. And we do know he comes back to visit, and we think that there's a certain suite that was the one he stayed in. And so we've encountered him there, and we've watched him pace. And so it was my boss and I stayed in there, and we had just done a late night tour. We had guests staying here, and we did an investigation and did all sorts of things. We're all over the place for hours. And so we went to go settle in there, and we knew we had a man in there because his voice came over on what was this called? The spirit box, for those who know what that is. It's sweeping radio, and we heard a man say 3 times hello. We knew he was in there, and as we were sitting and talking, you'd feel on one side all cold, and then she sat on the sofa. I sat on at the time they had bamboo chairs in there. I sat on one. We heard someone else sit in the other one. That creak as somebody sits down in a chair. So he sat and he joined us. But we said, hey, we're gonna go to sleep soon. You talk to us. You talk to us now. We got things you can talk to us with. But please don't bother us when we're sleeping. So my boss went to sleep, who says she can't sleep in haunted places. And I laid awake and I watched this guy pace. It's just full-on shadow pacing in the sitting area. And by the time I felt, I dozed off and woke up in the morning, I realized he wasn't there anymore. In later investigations, we would get flashlights and things coming on. And one time I said, it was a man. And I said, oh, wait a minute, are you the guy that was in here when we were standing here? Boom, the light came on. And again, until you see a flashlight, now the cat ball, sometimes they just like to mess with that. If you see a flashlight come on, you'll understand what I'm saying. Hopefully I won't talk about them for 2 hours and then you don't see one, but you never know. So he turned it on, and he said, yeah, he was the gentleman that was in the room. And I said, well, by the way, thank you for being such a gentleman and not disturbing us while we were sleeping. And boom, he flickered that light. So they have a lot of things that happen. Now, a lot of guests will report feeling someone sit down on their bed. The housekeeping will have just made up a bed fresh. So you've seen how nice and fresh and neat the linens are when you come in and your bed's all made up. They'll just have finished making up a room, run down for seconds to get something out of the linen closet, come back. They have a full view of the room from where they're coming from the closet. Come back, and now there's an impression as if someone sat on the edge of the bed, full butt print, as if someone sat down while they and messed up their bed just while they were gone for a few seconds. Or they'll come back, and it's a full-on indentation, as if someone laid across the bed and put their head on a pillow. Sometimes they'll even come back, and the room that they kept slightly ajar or unlocked is now shut and locked from the inside. So they'll have to go get a supervisor. So they get this all the time. We had a couple of years ago, there was an elderly couple. They were going to stay 2 nights, and I think they were in their 80s, and I don't know which building they were in. It doesn't matter. Things happen in every single building here. I've got stories from every single building. But they crack of dawn. They were down at the front desk, and this gentleman's irate. And he not only is not going to stay the second night, wants his money back for the first night. So he just rants and raves, and finally the manager says, well, what happened? He says, I can't believe that you people have housekeeping coming into a person's room in the middle of the night and rearranging the sheets. she's like, what? First of all, it's a boutique hotel. They're done by 5. They try to get started early, and if they're out of here, you gotta go through the front desk for anything. So he described what he saw. Periodically through the night, he would see this woman in a uniform standing at the end of the bed, and she's taking the sheet and she's shaking it out over him as if she's making the bed over him. And so the weirdest thing about this is his wife was sleeping in the bed with him. She slept through all of this. She did not have the same experience. But she believed him because he seemed legitimately upset. Something happened to him, and she's like, okay, there's nothing wrong with him. Meanwhile, the manager said, sir, I guarantee you nobody's coming in your room. She explains how the hotel is, and she said, and furthermore, I cannot give you a refund for the post. But we're pretty sure he'd not stay the second night, or did they ever come back. But yeah, people have all kinds of things that happen all the time like that. And again, every single building, if you're investigating in your room, what room, by the way, do you have, if it rings a bell?
What is it? The
You're-
first one is
you're in
the
Gables,
on
yeah.
the left,
Yeah, we're in Gables.
110?
What's that? Okay.
Is it 110?
First one.
Yeah, you're right up at the front.
Yeah, we're at the front.
Yeah, so, yeah, and again, stuff happens and and again, if you're investigating, once you're asking them to join you, I almost can guarantee, yeah, I can almost guarantee they will join you. Yeah, so it's, every building's a different, so like, if you're looking now, we talked about these buildings, if you don't know the history, the gatehouse we were gonna end up on, that was 1906, and that was designed, that was actually built for people with, they said medical, meaning I think more disabilities to have, they had a special spot to go. There was about 5 units in there. And then the one here on the far left is the Sunset Cottage, built in 1914. Then the ones that you're in this was the Edgerton family and their investors, who built in the 1920s, in the late 1920s. The Gables was 1928, and then the terrace was built up by 1929. And Calvin Coolidge came at the end of his administration there and stayed with Grace Coolidge for an entire month from January to February of 1930. The Coolidge Suite, we do get a lot of activity in there. We do not think it's Calvin Coolidge. He was known as Silent Cal, but there's a creepy portrait of him with eyes piercing at the bed. And routinely, housekeeping will come in there and find a towel draped over that portrait because it is just it's unnerving. So what we do, like a lot of times, you investigate your own room. Obviously, you don't need us to, but we offer a lot of times to investigate our guest rooms, and we have about 50% of the time. So I've had guests staying in the Coolidge Suite, and one time I had a couple in there, and they said, yeah, come investigate our room, you know. So we walk in, and I'm about to tell them the story about how people put the towel over the portrait. We walk in, guess what? There's a towel over the portrait. I'm like, you are those people. But we've had lots of things in there. There's definitely a spirit that likes the sitting room area, and they'll get drawn into the sitting room area. And every time I take guests in, it's very heavy in the sitting. You have the bedroom area, there's a small bathroom, and then the sitting area, and there's two doors that come in. And people will be drawn into the sitting area, and there's someone that definitely likes to hide in the closet there. But we've also, my guests, we don't tell them, they come in, people get touched on, like just, it's gentle, touched on the back, they're turning around and see who's touching, or is it someone else in the group touching them. But we had, a couple of years ago, I was training a new guide, and we went into, it was a quiet week, so sometimes we were able to give us the keys and say, yeah, you can go investigate a room if it's quiet. So we did, so that was the end of our tour. Nothing had been going on during the first part of the tour. I had 2 ladies from Orlando who were just looking for something to do. And then I had a family of 3, mom, dad, and teenage daughter from St. Pete, and they were into ghost hunting. So nothing had been happening. We had 20 minutes left. We're going into the Coolidge Suite. So we're all in there, and everybody is drawn into the sitting area except one lady. She sat in the bedroom area in the chair by the window, looking at her phone, back to the bed, and I had flashlights out. And so we're all in there, following whoever was in the closet, and all of a sudden we hear this blood-curdling scream. I have never heard an actual person do this stuff. That's like the movie stuff. And we're like, where did that come from? All of a sudden, the lady who's sitting by herself in the bedroom area comes flying through the bathroom, bulldozing everybody out of her way. And I was really actually fortunate nobody got hurt. And then I see her coming for me, and honestly, she's got this horrified look on her face, and she's clawing in the air, and I thought she was gonna jump into my arm. All she could say was, flashlight, flashlight, flashlight. And then we looked, because we had all the lights off, it's dark, you can see that the flashlight is on in the bedroom area on the bed. So when we got her a little calmed down, she explained that she was just sitting in the chair, back to the bed, reading things off her phone, and all of a sudden she felt someone like very insistently tap on her shoulder. So she knows she's the only one in that room, and the first thing you gotta do is look behind you, see who's behind you. And she did, and she swung around to see who was behind her, boom, the flashlight on the bed came on. So we feel that whoever was in there, and they wouldn't tell us who they were, we talked to the flashlight room, they weren't gonna tell us, they were excited about her reaction. There's no doubt they picked on her. But the family from St. Pete they just were absolutely amused. But, so anyway, so we're gonna take a walk, we're gonna go outside, and we got some other stories, some other places to talk about, and we'll just move along while we can enjoy the weather. And I'm sure the dog probably wants to move around a little bit. Or maybe not.
Check it out, guys. This is cool. It's a huge fireplace. We're gonna go outside. Okay, so while I got a second, guys, I'll tell you guys the winner of the giveaway. There's Monkey and Bruno. Who was the winner of the giveaway, Monk?
Huh?
Who's the winner of the giveaway?
I don't know.
I told you.
No, you did not.
Okay, there were no winners. Yeah, I did tell you.
No.
Okay, so anyway, here, let me turn you around here since I don't know what's going on here, but so anyway, guys, yeah, there were no winners. 3 people made 3 guesses. They all guessed the first story was true, and it was the second story, guys. The second story was true. Yeah, the first one was totally made up. I made it up. So yeah, this thing's getting heavy, so I don't know how much of this I'm going to film because a lot of it's going to be in the dark like you've seen. But yeah, so anyway, so I'm still going to do another giveaway, but that was still fun to see you guys guessing. I kind of threw you off when I said, you know, I don't want to mention real names. That was a made-up story. The second one about me and my dad seeing that thing in the sky, 100% true. So, and I know the hell's going on here? I know the audio is bad, but something's wrong with my mic. The one you put on your lapel. What is going on with this thing? The one you put on your lapel, it just got you guys on a selfie stick thing here, but so it's not working for some reason, so I don't know why. So all right, let me turn you around here. We're going to take a little walk. I'll keep you on while we take a little walk then. But yeah, so sorry for everyone that, but yeah, that's it. No winners, but we'll do something different. So let me turn you around here.
So if you guys look at the building right here, boom, that was the Alexander House. We do get a lot of, I'm listening to everybody gets, there's activity everywhere, in here. Where they're investigating.
And there's our building there that we're staying in. We are in the Gables. That's our building. We're right up front. Right. Where's my finger? That light right there, that's our room. So. Yeah, we were supposed to get. They had us set up for the third floor, but since we had Bruno, they had to put us in another building. But we was going to be right up there. That would have been so cool. We're going to walk around this place a little bit later. So our guide was just telling us that there's activity in every one of these buildings. So hopefully we'll get something in ours tonight. What is going on with this thing?
She was more into it than her husband. Clearly, you're along, doing this because she likes to do it. And so she asked him, well, don't be bothered when you're over taking her. She said, no, you can come visit me at night. And I see husband over there right now.
This is not the greatest walking tour I've been on, let me tell you, for $90. Okay, we're walking. I don't know if you guys heard that, but she didn't want me filming. Well, I'm going to film,
People will see a gentleman up with a fedora up in that stairwell area. And I know fedoras have come back in style, so it's like a big deal, right? But even back in the years when men were no longer wearing hats, he's just kind of always been there. He's kind of looking out, but he doesn't seem to interact with anyone. So he's, well, we probably think it's residual. I've never seen him. We've had people catch these strange pictures. But we think we know who or what he's connected to.
And again, this is ours.
That favorite thing of everybody. Like any place with its salt.
That's our room right there. And we took a walk upstairs earlier. We filmed it. You'll see it on video. And I was up in the attic. I think Monkey wants to go up in the attic later, so.
No, 100%, that stayed from sure you're assigned to register. But I wouldn't doubt that he's at some point you can see it all over Florida. But we do think that the fedora man is kind of linked to that.
So, I guess a man in a fedora. I don't know how much, because like I said, my mic's not working, so has been seen up there in that stairwell right there, which is right above our room. And a fedora, if you guys don't know, is an old style hat they used to wear. Maybe you see the guy in fedora. Maybe you'll see the guy in the fedora.
We might.
He's supposed to be seen up there in that.
Oh, and she told me
Yeah.
that place.
Yeah.
We couldn't have stayed in there.
Why?
The owner lives there. That's what she told me.
Well, that's the third floor.
Yeah, and the owner lives in there. That's exactly what she said.
Oh, well, she don't work here, so it's like when she said, well, I promised my boss I wouldn't do my own. Well, yeah, that's your own YouTube channel, not mine. I'm going to film. Like, she can't stop me from filming out here.
No, I've been filming, but I cut it off because I want to make sure I got enough room.
I didn't tell her boss I wouldn't film nothing.
Right.
This is my channel, not hers. Especially out here, she can't stop me from filming her.
No, she can.
Live music playing. They were playing a minute ago, or a few minutes ago. But that's cool. That's a gift shop now.
She said we were going to go in there
Yeah.
on the top. That's what she said.
Well, this thing's getting really hot. I can't almost hold it in my hand. My mic wouldn't work. So I don't know what happened to it.
I couldn't film the ball that went off.
I think I got it on here, but I'm live.
Yeah, I know.
There's an old train depot here. That place is cool. We actually, last time we were here, we ate right over there. That place was empty, and we was gonna look into buying it, wasn't we?
Yep. You sure are.
They didn't have to work through all the winter. They come down here. We would get some of that actually from here. But yeah, there was.
Funny, I only got one now. Oops, I talked. You got close, that's where it goes.
I think, I don't think it's a problem with bringing the, if you bring the dog inside the train station when you come back around. He's pretty well behaved.
Yeah.
And if anybody from the chamber asks
Service
me,
animal.
he's a service animal.
No, he is a service
Okay,
animal.
there you go.
Yeah, he
So-
really is.
All right, then.
Yeah. He's got his vest on. Yeah.
That's all I need. Yeah. I've had others, like kids, that were not.
Yeah,
He's
and
obviously.
Yeah, he's true. He's real.
I hope you're not looking at the sky, guys. Because I can't see what you guys are doing. But
It's moving around. Come on, Bruno.
he's awful.
He's just wanting to sniff.
Put him in the air and
There's the moonshine place. I wish it was open. Monkey wants to go over there. It's called Ma's Mountain Moonshine.
It's a family home. I don't have a lot.
isn't that pretty?
Yeah, colorful. This is the worst tour I've ever taken in my life. Supposed to be a walking tour, you know.
We're walking alright.
Well, we weren't.
No.
I mean, you know, you're only supposed to have a few minutes in a place. They're not open, Mama. They're closed.
I wonder why.
You wanted to drink there tonight? I don't know. This place is nice. We thought this was cute. Here's that place, Mama,
Yeah.
that you said was cute.
Yeah. Feel free to make yourselves comfortable. Set up put at least one flashlight out here.
Just some outdoor bistro. We walked past here. We walked past here earlier. Yeah, this is where you wanted to. Remember they were closed?
Yeah. Yeah.
So she set a flashlight down over there.
Yeah, you can get comfortable. You like you have permission to the spirits. So
I'll set you guys over this way.
So for decades, though, this building was the Windsor Rose It actually was only been the bistro a couple of years now. And so this was a tea room for decades, and people still come with it. They kind of just sold out pretty quickly. How about one day? So anyway, this building is actually built around 1930-ish. It's during the one of the few built in the Depression era. But the couple that started the tea room, they first started in that little garden cottage. But amazingly, he caught on pretty quickly here. And this was a British couple. So in the UK though, ghosts are no big deal. Americans were late to the party on ghosts. In the UK, everything is hundreds and sometimes 1,000 years old, and everything's haunted. So ghosts are no big deal for them. The couple that started the tea room here, they would say anybody working in the kitchen, and there's still some kitchen staff today that work in the bistro that worked for the tea room, and they'll say all told us their stories. But you're back there, and if you're doing prep work, you know how like when you're cooking and then you set something on the counter and you turn away from a woman to do something else and you put that thing on the counter. Well, many times whatever's on the counter goes missing. If they're lucky, it'll pop up in the back in the same spot or at least somewhere in the kitchen. Other times they'll find it in other parts of the building.
But it's now called the Mount Dore Bistro, but it was the tea room.
Or they'll be working, someone will be working back there by themselves and see something.
So last time we was here, this wasn't open. I guess it was built in, she said 1930-ish.
The owner, she's back there working, and her husband's in the building, and also she feels someone yank on the back of her ponytail. And she turns around thinking she's gonna give her husband some what for, but nope, she's alone in the kitchen. But again, their whole attitude was like, all right, stop, I gotta work. Just it's almost affectionate. So they didn't think too much about it. Their guests would report feeling like someone would sit down with them at their, like for tea or for lunch. And it's one thing to feel people sit down with you when things start moving on your table. So they would see utensils and serviceware and stuff moving on their table. When it was the tea room, the walls were just covered with things tea related and Royal British family related, saucers, cups. We covered the walls. So they would come in after being locked up overnight and come in, and a section now of the stuff hanging on the wall would be off the wall, but it would be stacked on the floor, and nothing was broken. No idea how it would be removed, and they never put in a surveillance camera, which is the first thing I would have done, because I really would want to see that. But then they just put it all back up at the start of the day. They'd come in on another morning, and it would be a different section all the way down, and it was just kind of like, haha, we're here. So again, it was nothing really bad. But they would also see some things, and when they would see a lady in there, or I should say a half a lady. She would float over those tables from one side of the restaurant out this way toward the courtyard here. And when I say half a lady, again, it's that lady with the big puffy sleeves and the updo, and then you got down to her waist and went on to a risk of nothing. She never seemed to interact. Nobody knows her story. She may have been residual, and we don't know why she was only a half a lady. One recurring experience that people had, up until I guess it wasn't all that long ago, because the British lady who works for the bistro now used to work for the tea room, and she says she's seen him. So one day, it was the late 90s, I believe, or early 2000s maybe, people were sitting here, guests, staff, owners were here, and a little boy comes through the front door. Now, something was a little off about him. He looked like a live little boy, but something was off about him. First of all, there are no adults. This is like an 8 or 9-year-old kid. There's no adults with him, no parents. And he comes into the restaurant, walks all the way through without saying a word, goes all the way to the back bathroom, goes in to the men's room, which one-seater, shuts and locks the door. And then he doesn't come out. So the owner's over there knocking on the door, and there's no answer. He finally had to break open the door, and of course there's nobody in there. So they all kind of, compared some notes on it, and what they realized was this little boy. This is like late 90s, early 2000s when they started seeing him. He's dressed in 60s style clothing, and they're like, okay. So now the owners remembered they had heard from one of the previous owners that in the 1960s, when the business owner was here, I don't know which business it was at the time. At one point, there was at least a dry cleaners here, but a very distraught woman came in through the doors, and she couldn't even talk. It took them a while to get her calmed down enough to be able to say what happened. So when they finally got her calmed down, she was able to tell them that her little boy.
I am seeing your guys' comments. I just don't want to interrupt the stories. There's only 4 of us on this group, so I want to be respectful of the other 2 people, and of course for Monkey and Bruno.
this little boy, the same little boy, the same description, can also been seen down by Price's Rise in the back of the streets, and going along these streets. We're not even sure where the exact accident exactly happened. Did he just run into these places for comfort? We don't know. But like I said, the British lady who works here said, and I won't try to mangle the British accent, but she said, yes, I've seen the young lad several times, so we've seen him. At one point, the Windsor Rose decided to capitalize on we did a whole school, a little seance, and it was really successful. So they're like, oh wow, this is, we've been doing this all along. And that's what we'll do next year. Except that within a couple of days, all hell broke loose.
Just Garfield, calm down.
All hell broke loose. And they started having problems with the electrical, they had problems with the plumbing, things were flying off the walls, and they were not coming out down nicely. They were crashing like near people, so something was up. The way the owners handled it was they would clean things up, replace them, they called in a plumber, called in an electrician, and basically what they did was they ignored it. Within a certain period of time, things calmed down. Now their thoughts on it was that maybe they had offended spirits that are in, because again, they know their spirits in it, they know they're haunted. But a lot of this stuff, that little seance they did, whether it was scripted or not, might have been too real. And they invited something not nice in there, because up till then everything was pretty gentle, pretty almost, prankster-ish, until they did that with the Windsor. Now, whatever it was went away, because I think they did the right thing by ignoring it. They did not feed that energy, and it got bored. Pick it up on something over there?
Yep.
A lot of times there is something by the door, and sometimes they will turn the flashlight on. We've had a former employee here, it was just the other day, last week. We had a former employee turning on the flashlight here, and she said that she's usually in the restaurant, but there's a lot of, and people will they'll take pictures from the front, they'll see activity like coming out.
So she's got something going on with her EMF meter here.
I can't say everything's paranormal, so you can study it. We've got a full glowing orb of light that
Night.
not there, and there was no source of light there. So we get some interesting pictures and things.
Good job, Monk.
But so that is the Windsor Rose Tea Room. We're gonna move along, and got a couple of other places to go.
Like I said, sorry I didn't talk to you guys when I first kicked on. Everyone was saying hello, but hello everyone. But she was in the middle of a story, so. But yeah, that's interesting. Monkey picked up something on her EMF detector. That's cool.
No, they went out of business, so.
But yeah, someone asked if this was St. Augustine. No, this is Mount Dora.
Some of that is the occurrence. Would it be possible to get a group picture of you guys? I don't have one with all of you. I have at least one.
Sure.
Of the whole group. 'Cause tonight you guys are like family. Oh, like this, with the courtyard behind. I just hope someone will pop in on the shot. You never know. Ready, set. Oh, that's nice.
All right.
And I hope you catch something.
I don't know.
You're out here.
Her thing was going off.
Yeah, and we get activity down there, right near the doorway. So people have caught.
Now, where you said the boy would go in at?
Yeah, come right straight through the front door, boom, go all the way back. But I mean, I think a lot of the activity seems to go like that lady who goes. So they've gotten pictures of misty figures. Now there's a lot of reflection here, so it's a little hard for me. And some of the pictures I looked at, I'd have to study on my laptop. I couldn't say they were paranormal.
Yeah.
My guests were excited. That was all that mattered. like, I can't tell you for sure that that's good, so I have to study it some more. So we're going to just walk over here, and then I'm going to tell you about this building here. And I'm going to suggest that we're going to go. We're going to go pop into the train station since there's no one in there. That's the neat, but. I'm going to tell you about this building. I'm going to suggest you come in and investigate some more in here because I've got stories. We know there's are certain spirits up in here in the building. So this is the Renaissance.
This
building.
one?
Has anybody been in here at all yet?
No.
So it's shops, restaurant. There's the Frog and Monkey Pub down here on the bottom.
I think we walked.
Well, yeah, we've been through here last time we were here.
Monkey. So yeah, so this is actually considered the basement. If you look at this building, it looks like it's 4 stories. It's actually 3. That's considered the basement. And back though, now this is now obviously a multi-purpose building. When it was built in the early 1920s, this was something else. This was a hotel. This was the Mount Dora Hotel. Now this was built because in 1922, major event happened that happens in all places that are made of wood. Big fire took out this whole block from here between there and Donnelly, and had to rebuild. Fortunately, nobody was either hurt or killed, of course. So it just had to be rebuilt. It took out the city hall, the theater, a bunch of other things, and supposedly the culprit was an electric iron. Nobody can prove what that was. But anyhow, so when this was built, a man named Patterson, like you had your Donnellys, your Edgertons, your people going, come down and build. This is 1920. It's boom time everywhere, and everybody was doing this all over the country. So big boom time here. Nobody knew it was around the corner. So a man named Patterson came from Ohio, built this. He wanted to make a fourth story, but the fire department would not let him because the ladders would not reach past that spot, and they did not want any sort of catastrophes. But we do know of some of the hauntings in here, and we have experienced. There's one particular spirit. There's more than one. All hotels are haunted, like I said. This was a hotel up till the 1950s, really, when it became kind of short-term apartment rentals. There were commercial fishermen in here and things like that, and we would start experiencing things. But in the early days of the hotel, there was a young couple.
Oh, that was creepy.
Nope.
He doesn't like clowns. Friend, because he don't like clowns.
Shut up.
He doesn't.
He doesn't like to not be hugged.
So anyhow,
Like her, he likes to be hugged.
Okay.
So
That was
anyway,
good.
in the early days of the hotel,
But I don't like clowns.
young couple getting married, and again, at the time, nobody knew their names or the exact name, but everybody who's from Mount Dora knows the story and knows it happened. Young couple getting married, she's just absolutely over the moon. They're probably going to be sweethearts. She's
That
gonna
was spooky.
go big or go home. So she rents the bridal suite at the top floor, and that's how they started their married life. So they were going to meet wherever the service was, whether the church, park, I'm not even sure. I'm pretty sure those got the church.
Cool brick road here. Well, it's an alley. You can actually drive on it.
He never shows up. We don't know what happened to him other than cold feet. Something really bad happened to him. Story. But we know what happened. He came back to all by herself, went up to that bridal suite upstairs. And she is still experienced here today. And we now have a name for her. So we've been doing enough investigation the last 8 years that we started getting some activity on it. So nobody knew her name. They wanted to call her Dora because they'd hear when this is locked. The top floor is locked off. Its offices during the weeknights and weekends. There's nobody up there, but you'll hear footsteps up there, and you'll hear the sound of like furniture dragging. Some of the business owners, their doors open and close on their own, and drawers open and close. The lady who used to have a candle shop here, her lids would lit up like right in front of customers. Go across there, and that would break. They would have these all of a sudden extreme temperature changes, and business owner would accuse the next door neighbor of messing with the thermostat. So they had all of these things happening. Or like when it was the apartments, you'd see a fill on this.
So, I don't know if you guys can hear that. Again, my stupid mic. Well, I shouldn't call it studio. DJI. I don't know what happened to it. Only one section of it's turning on, but this used to be a hotel, and this whole block burnt down. But this used to be the Mount Dora Hotel. But this whole block burned down, and then when they rebuilt this, they would only let the guy build it from Ohio. He's from Ohio. They would only let him build it this tall. He wanted to go another floor, but that's as tall as their ladders could go then, so they wouldn't let him build it. This is actually considered the basement, so it's really 3 stories, so they wouldn't let him build it any higher. He wanted to go 4 stories, but like I said, their ladders, after that fire, their ladders wouldn't go any higher than this, so they only let him build it this tall. So there's all kinds of stuff going on in there, I guess. So.
And that's as far as we got, because I've had the gentleman in the group, we love our right to, we're not here to convert anybody. So what this guy goes, expect me to believe that flashlight's coming on and off all by itself. I'm like, I'm way over here. There's nobody near the table. I don't have any. I said, but feel free to.
I don't know if you guys caught her cat ball kicked on when we first started the stream, right into the first part of the stream. The cat ball kicked on. That was in the hotel in the Lakeside Inn. So
this lady took her life and now she's interacting with people, living people, and it's a man who's questioning her existence. Yeah. So ever since then, now we've got it.
So that was pretty cool. And there was only 5 of us in there, and nothing was banging around, so it did kick on. So that was pretty cool.
We wouldn't again decide. They all picked up right away. They went upstairs. They said, I feel this. She's regretting this. And they said, we see feet swinging. We're like, yeah, she hung herself. And they would describe her. She's got auburn hair, first very pale. She's 22. And again, she's reliving her pain. So she is stuck. She's stuck. There's other spirits in here. We know she's stuck. And she doesn't care for men in particular, because that was the one. And by the way, that guy in the back were not too well with it. Anyhow, so we know she's there, and when we talk about her, she'll like things. Now, it's not in our wheelhouse to help her. We can't cleanse her of the guilt, which she'll have to move on herself. But she definitely does connect with the women. So you might want to come back and investigate in here. We're going to go over to the train station.
It just died.
Spend some time in there.
Okay, so that's the mic, and this just died.
Oh my god. I stepped on.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to shut you off because my gimbal just died. So the mic and the camera gimbal died. Yeah, look, it's off. Okay, so I'm going to shut you off now. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Again, sorry, but there were no winners in this giveaway, but we're going to do something special anyway. But because if I let go of this phone right now, that's what's going to happen. The gimbal just stopped working. And wait, it just kicked back on. Oops.
Maybe it's the ghost. Look, I'm going crazy again.
See, it just, okay. All right, guys. So, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Shea Bear, the Myth, the Man, Legend, gone for now. We'll see you guys in the next one. Sorry I couldn't get the whole tour, but, when I'm having these kind of problems, it just makes it unenjoyable for me to know that you're not enjoying the stream. So, we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for everyone who entered the contest, but we'll have another one, and hopefully we'll have a winner on that one. So, Say better, the Myth Man Legend. I'm gone for now. Bye bye, guys. Take care.
Actually, yeah, this next month, the Saturday before Thanksgiving is Light Up Mount Dora, and there'll be a big